With our weapons set up and our player able to move around the environment, it's time to start setting up some targets, specifically some enemies for us to both attack and attack us. But before we can get into setting the enemies themselves up, what we need to do is what's called baking the nav mesh. And the nav mesh is going to be what tells our enemies where in the world they're able to move and how they can get from point A to point B. So in order to do that, what we want to do is click on our window panel up here at the top. We're going to go down to AI and hit navigation, and that should automatically open a navigation pane over here on our inspector, or where our inspector normally would be. So we're going to click over to the navigation panel. We're going to select bake, and we want to make sure that we crank this slope up value all the way up to 60 and have our step height to 0.6. Those are all going to be important for reasons that are not worth explaining now, but it's basically going to make sure that our enemies are able to crawl over all the objects they might need to. Now that we've got all that done, what we can do is just go ahead and hit the bake button. And now we're going to see this blue layer appear over all of our level. And if you see this, that means that you have done it correctly. Again, this blue I guess mesh, you could call it, that appears over our world is the walkable space of all of our enemies. And you'll see that for most of the obstacles we put in the room, it's going to cut that bit out of our nav mesh. And that's actually the exact way we want it to work. We want to prevent our enemies from just walking through objects that are in our world. So you see it cuts out the little holes, and it even will follow up our little path up here all the way to the top. And again, it's cutting out the little obstacles we placed. So with that set up, we're able to go ahead and move on into setting up our enemy animators.